CIET NCERT presents AudioBook Exploring Society, India and Beyond, the textbook of social science for grade 7.
Chapter 6, page number 117, The Age of Reorganization. Here is a QR code. By scanning the QR code, you can get the additional information related to the chapter. By continuous living tradition and a vital power of rejuvenescence, this land has readjusted itself through unnumbered transformations. Jagdish Chandra Bose, 1917. In figure 6.1.1, a glimpse of the art from the age of reorganization is given. Here are the pictures of some statues, pots, etc. The big question. 1. Why is the period that followed the Maurya Empire sometimes called the Age of Reorganization? 2. What were the values or principles that guided emperors of that period? 3. How did foreign invaders assimilate into Indian society and contribute to cultural confluence? Page number 118. Bhavishya and Dhruv had recovered from their journey to the Maurya Empire and were itching for another adventure. They decide to use Itihas again and landed in a new historical period. They came across a collection of art pieces, each one quite different from the other. Here is the figure 6.1.1. They wondered, could these artifacts belong to multiple kingdoms rather than just one? They guessed right. In this chapter, we will travel over a fairly long period. Here we go. Very little is known about Ashoka's successors to the throne. It is generally accepted, however, that the last Maurya emperor was assassinated around 185 BCE by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Shunga. This led to a breakup of an empire hardly half a century after Ashoka, as we mentioned in the last chapter. Many new kingdoms emerged across the subcontinent, which often were earlier tributary kingdoms under the overlordship of the Maurya Empire. The northwest region became weak, exposing it to invasions from outside the subcontinent. This period is also known as the Age of Reorganization. By some scholars, as the existing regions were being reorganized into new kingdoms that were constantly competing to become powerful. The map of India changed significantly in that age, as did people's lives. Let's explore. Create a timeline on a sheet of paper marking the period from the first year of the 2nd century BCE and ending in the last year of the 3rd century CE. How many years does this period cover? As we progress through the chapter, mark the key individuals, kingdoms, and events on the timeline. On page number 118, the picture of Bhavishya and Dhruv is given. Bhavishya and Dhruvs are conversating with each other. Here, a figure 6.1.2 is also given. A stone-like shape is given in which some shapes are encarved. Page 119, figure 6.2 is given. Here is the map of India, which is related to prominent dynasties of India during the Age of Reorganization. In this map, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, and the positions of Shaks, Satvahans, Chedis, Pandyas, Cheras, Shungas, and Kushanas are given. Let's remember. While working on the timeline, did you notice the transition from BCE to CE? Remember what you learned in the class 6th chapter, Timeline and Sources of History, about how time is measured in history. Page number 120, Matrimonial Alliance. An alliance arranged through a marriage, generally between two members of royal families. In practice, this would often mean a king offering his daughter for marriage into the royal family of a neighboring kingdom, with the intention of cementing an alliance between the two kingdoms. Let's explore. In the previous chapter, you studied the map of the Maurya Empire, which is given on page 100. Above is a map of the post-Maurya period. How many kingdoms can you count in the area that were previously under the control of the Maurya Empire? The new kingdoms now competed for territorial control. Peaceful methods like matrimonial alliances between neighboring kingdoms or the use of force in warfare were means of gaining control. Remember that there was constant wrestling for control over areas along the borders, as gaining control over them was important to keep the kingdom safe from attacks. Together with those political events, there was a burst in the development of art, architecture, and literature, and enriching cultural exchanges. We will get a peek into this in the following sections. Here, figure 6.3, a graphics is there which is related to prominent dynasties of the subcontinent. Here, the two parts are there. 1. Dynasties from within the subcontinent: Shungas, Chedis, Satvahans, Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. 2. Dynasties from outside the subcontinent: Indo-Greeks, Shaks, Kushans. Page 121. Surge of the Shungas. Pushyamitra Shunga founded the Shunga dynasty, which ruled over parts of north and central India. He performed the Ashwamedh Yagya, a Vedic ritual, to establish himself as a most powerful ruler. Although his empire was smaller than the previous Maurya Empire, we can compare their two maps. He kept it safe from potential invaders and maintained friendly relations with the Greeks. After some initial military campaign against them, but again, the empire did not last long after him. A century later, it was gone. The period witnessed the revival of Vedic rituals and practices, but other schools of thought nevertheless continued to flourish. Don't miss out. Here is a figure given 6.4, scene from the Ramayana in which King Ram is performing the Ashwamedh Yagya, which is from 19th century painting, National Museum. The Ashwamedh Yagya was a Vedic ritual conducted by many rulers to declare their position as the king. In this ritual, a horse accompanied by soldiers was left to wander freely. Any territory that the horse crossed unchallenged was considered to become a part of the king's empire. If any ruler stopped the horse, it led to a battle to determine supremacy. Page number 122. Sanskrit emerged as one of the preferred languages for philosophical and literary works. Do you recall some aspects of the Yoga Sutras in your physical education and well-being classes in grade 6? These Yoga Sutras were compiled by Patanjali during this period. The Shungas patronized literature, art, and architecture. The Bharhut Stupa in present-day Madhya Pradesh presents us with beautiful examples of Shunga art. It was probably built during the time of Ashoka, but the Shungas added beautifully carved railings and reliefs depicting stories from the Buddha's life. These are considered some of the earliest examples of Buddhist art. A figure is given. Here are 4 pictures on this page. Picture 1, figure 6.5.1. Here are the railings at the Bharhut Stupa. In picture 2, which is figure 6.5.2, cowing of Lakshmi on a railing. In picture 3, which is figure 6.5.3, a group of singers and dancers are given. Picture 4, figure 6.5.4, elephants holding up the wheel of Dharma. Page 123, there are 10 pictures. These are related to some Shung contribution to art. In picture 1, figure 6.6.1, there is a pillar with a Greek warrior. In picture 2, figure 6.6.2, there is a male figure. In picture 3, figure 6.6.3, a woman with a child is there. Picture 4, figure 6.6.4, there is a woman with a fan. Picture 5, figure 6.6.5, a vase is there. Picture 6, figure 6.6.6, there is a female figure with hair ornaments, terracotta. Picture 7, figure 6.6.7, there is a royal family. Picture 8, figure 6.6.8, bronze bangles covered with a thin layer of gold. Picture 9, figure 6.6.9, there is a comb of ivory. And picture 10, figure 6.6.10, beads of a necklace is there. Page 124. Let's explore. Below is a panel from the Bharut Stupa. Look at the two figures on the right. What are they doing? Can you guess their profession? Notice their attire. What does this tell us about them? List other details that you notice in the panel and discuss your findings in the class. A figure 6.7 is given, which is a panel from the Bharut Stupa. Let's explore. Observe closely at the pictures in the collage in figure 6.6. In a note, write down your observations on the clothes, the jewelry, and other objects of daily use. The Satvahans. From the limited evidence available, the Shungas seem to have waged wars with many of their neighboring regions. This may have included the Satvahans, who ruled large parts of the Deccan from the 2nd century BCE onwards to the south of the Shunga Empire. Sometimes referred to as Andhras, the Satvahans were a powerful dynasty and their empire largely comprised of present-day Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Maharashtra, with different capital cities at different times. The most famous were Amravati and Pratisthana, that is called Pathan. Trade and commerce appear to have flourished in the Satvahan kingdom. Page 125. Coins issued by the Satvahan rulers have been found in various regions of India, from Gujarat to Andhra Pradesh, India's western and eastern coasts. Indeed, many coins depicted ships, suggesting that maritime trade was an important part of economic life. The type of ship depicted on the coin suggests advanced shipbuilding and navigation technologies. Figure 6.8 depicts a Satvahan coin bearing the image of a seafaring ship with two masts. Notice how the masts of the ship are prominently depicted with intersecting lines, possibly representing sails. The wavy lines below represent oceanic waters. Agriculture flourished in the Krishna-Godavari river system, which provided economic stability to the kingdom. The Satvahans had active trade networks that reached as far as the Roman Empire and included an exchange of goods like spices, textiles, sandalwood, and luxury items like gold-plated pearls, ivory, etc. Imports included glass and perfumed ointments. Tolls and taxes on trade added revenue to the kingdom. Economic prosperity and a relatively peaceful political period facilitated the development of literature, art, and culture, to which the Satvahans made significant contributions. Figure 6.9 is given, in which the Naneghat caves near Pune, located close to a major trade route, were used for collection of tolls and taxes and as resting places for traders. Page 126. Life under the Satvahans. In the Satvahans tradition, princes were often named after their mothers. Thus, Gautamiputra Satkarni was named after his mother, Gautami Balashri. She was a powerful queen who donated land to Buddhist monks and had an important inscription carved in Nashik showing her influence in the kingdom. Figure 6.10. Coin of the Satvahans with an inscription in Brahmi script, King Lord Satkarni, son of Gautami. Think about it. What, according to you, could the tradition of using the mother's name at the beginning of a king's name signify? Another set of inscriptions found in the Naneghat caves near Pune, which is given in figure 6.9, focuses on a Satvahana widow queen who remarkably performed several Vedic rituals, including the Ashwamedh Yajna. The inscriptions mention Vedic gods like Indra, Chandra, and Surya. We also get a glimpse of the queen's donations, which is called Dan: land, cows, horses, elephants, silver coins, and other items to priests, guests, workers, scholars, and monks. These inscriptions are in the Brahmi script and include a few numerals, that is, symbols for numbers, which at times resemble today's shapes as given below. This is one of the many evidences showing that modern numerals ultimately originated in India. In this figure, numerals like 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10 are given. Think about it. In the above series of numerals, which ones look somewhat like our modern numerals, which ones don't? Page 127. The Satvahans were devout followers of Vasudeva, which is another name of Krishna, although they are patronized other schools of thought which flourished during their rule. For instance, Satvahan kings often granted tax-free agricultural land to Vedic scholars, Jaina and Buddhist monks, helping them to pursue their studies and practices. Here, two figures are given. In figure 6.11, the Karla caves, which is near Lonavala in present-day Maharashtra, to which the Satvahans contributed during their reign. These caves were made for Buddhist monks. Notice the magnificent pillars and the stone replica of a stupa in the center, all of it carved out of a rocky hillside. In figure 6.12, a yaksha, a minor deity associated with nature, from the Pitalkhora caves, Maharashtra, carved in the Satvahana period is given. Think about it. This sculpture of a yaksh from Pitalkhora carries an inscription on its hand, Kanhadasena Hiramakarena Kata, meaning made by Kanahas Dasa, a goldsmith. It is not interesting to see that a goldsmith could also craft a sculpture made of stone. What do you think? This tells us about people's professions at that time. In the 3rd century CE, the Satvahana Empire fragmented into smaller independent kingdoms. Several factors contributed to its disintegration, the most significant one being weak central control, and a gradual economic decline. Page 128. Once again, this will pave the way for regional powers to assert or reassert their dominance and establish new kingdoms. Coming of the Chedis. Let us go back a little. Do you remember the Kalinga War mentioned in the previous chapter? After the decline of the Maurya Empire, Kalinga rose as a prominent power under the kings of the Chedis dynasty. Kharavela, one of their main rulers, was a devoted follower of Jain teachings. He was sometimes called Bhikshu Raja or monk king, although he respected all schools of thoughts. Near Bhubaneswar, the famous Udaygiri Khandagiri caves, likely developed for Jain monks, feature intricate panels and statues and spacious rooms carved into the rock, showcasing the skill of the craftsman. The design and craftsmanship of these caves make them notable examples of rock-cut architecture, a style of architecture that we will turn to in higher classes. Here 3 pictures are given. Picture 1, figure 6.13.1, Udaygiri caves near Bhubaneswar are depicted. Picture 2, figure 6.13.2, the Hathi Gumfa inscription. Picture 3, figure 6.13.3, the carved panel depicting a scene from the Ramayana. Page 129. One of the caves prominently displays the Hathi Gumfa inscription written in Brahmi script, which records King Kharavela's accomplishments year after year, including his victorious military campaigns and his benevolent works for the welfare of his people. Kharavela also proudly declares that he created a council of ascetics and sages from 100 regions and is accomplished in extraordinary virtues, respecter of every sect and repairer of every temple. Once again, a ruler takes pride in extending his protection to all schools of thought. This is a fundamental part of what we may call the Indian ethos. Think about it. Notice the regularity of the rock-cut chambers sculpted nearly 2 millennia ago. How did artisans achieve such precision with just a chisel and a hammer? Picture yourself as a sculptor in that era, shaping stone into art with your own hands. What tools would you use? Kingdoms and life in the south. In India's southern region, this period between the 2nd or 3rd century BCE and the 3rd century CE saw the rise to prominence of 3 powerful kingdoms, the Cheras, the Cholas, and the Pandyas, which often competed with each other for control over the south while also contributing to the region's growth in trade and culture. Let's remember how Ashoka's empire stopped at those South Indian kingdoms, which he mentions in his edicts, which suggests that they remained independent even at the height of Mauryan power. And although Kharavela claims that he defeated an alliance of South Indian kings that threatened his own territory, the location of that battle is unknown and he does not seem to have invaded the southern region. Think about it. In the map given on next page, you may notice different symbols alongside the names of the kingdoms. What do these symbols represent? Think about how they highlight the unique identities of the kingdoms. Page number 130. Here is a picture, figure 6.14, in which Kingdoms in the south are located. Note that borders are approximate and fluctuated in time. In this map, there is Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, Chera dynasty, Pandya and Chola dynasty. That period saw the advent of many poets whose works, collectively known as Sangam literature, defined the entire era. It came to be known as the Sangam age. The word Sangam is derived from the Sanskrit Sangha, which translates to association and coming together. In this context, referring to an assembly of the poets, the Sangam literature, the oldest in South India, consists of several collections or anthologies of poems and is much consulted by historians who investigate the society and culture of the times. Primarily, Sangam poetry expresses with great skill and delicacy personal emotions such as love or societal values like heroism and generosity. The Cholas. The Sangams refer to three crowned kings, the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas. The Cholas were a powerful dynasty that ruled parts of South India from the 3rd century BCE to the 13th century CE. The Chola king Karikala is said to have defeated a combined force of the Cheras and Pandyas and established his supremacy. Page number 131. Silapadikaram, the Tale of the Anklet. The famous epic, composed soon after the Sangam collections, tells the story of Kannagi, who lived happily with her husband Kovalan in the prosperous Chola capital city of Puhar, which is identified with Kevaripattinam seen earlier. However, Kovalan fell in love with a dancer and eventually lost all his wealth over her. Realizing his mistake, he returned to Kannagi, who forgave him. They then traveled to Madurai, the capital of the Pandya kingdom, hoping to rebuild their lives. To start anew, Kannagi gave Kovalan one of her anklets to sell. However, he was falsely accused of theft and executed by the Pandya king. Devastated, Kannagi proved his innocence by revealing her second anklet. The king, realizing his mistake, died of shock. Kannagi then cursed Madurai, invoking the god of fire who destroyed the city. She then walked further west to the Chera kingdom, where she was honored as a goddess. Even today, Kannagi is worshipped in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Silapadikaram's exquisite poetry thus centers on the principles of justice and the ruler's dharma to protect it. It also takes us through cities rich in traded goods, through three kingdoms, and also through several schools of thought. You can see the figure on page 131. There is a figure 6.1.5, which is the statue of Kannagi, Chennai, page number 132. Think about it. Observe the statue of the king. How is he depicted? What do his posture, clothing, and expression say about his power and status? Here is a picture, figure 6.16, which is the statue of King Karikala at the Grand Anicut Memorial Park in Tamil Nadu. Karikala undertook many projects for the benefit of the people. Among them is the Kalanai or Grand Anicut, a complex water diversion system located at a geographically strategic point just downstream of the Srirangam island. It helped to divert waters from the Kaveri to the central and southern parts of the Kaveri Delta. This enabled more land to be brought under cultivation, earning this area the name Rice Bowl of the South. Restored several times in the course of time, it is still in use and helps millions of people in Tamil Nadu by providing water for irrigation and thus supporting agriculture in the region. Here is the picture given, figure 6.17, which is a view of the Kalanai or Grand Anicut. Page number 133, the Cheras. Also known as the Keralputra, sons of Kerala, the Cheras ruled over the western parts of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, with their capital at Vanji, present-day Karur in Tamil Nadu. They played an essential role in shaping the region's culture and economic history, encouraging the growth of Tamil literature and patronizing Sangam poets. The Cheras were known for their extensive trade connections with the Roman Empire and West Asia, exporting many goods from India to the outside world. The kingdom became a hub for the export of spices, timber, ivory, and pearls. Think about it. Have you ever wondered how historians uncover the trade relations between two distant kingdoms many centuries ago? Let's take a moment to brainstorm and discuss how this information comes to light. The Chera kings issued a number of coins under their reign. Do you notice the royal emblem of Cheras on one such coin given in the picture? Here is a figure 6.18. There are coins under Chera kings. The Pandyas. The Pandyas rule over parts of Tamil Nadu and the surrounding regions, with their capital at present-day Madurai, goes back several centuries BCE. Successive kings expanded the Pandyan kingdom. In his work Indica, Megasthenes mentions this kingdom as a prosperous one, with a strong administration and involved in active trade with distant powers like the Greeks and Romans. Apart from much internal trade, Kharwela, for instance, states that he gets hundreds of pearls brought from the Pandya kingdom. The Pandyas were also an important naval power of the subcontinent. The later Pandyas also contributed greatly to the art, architecture, and overall prosperity of the region. Page number 134. Think about it. The Pandyas were known for their pearls. Why do you think pearls were an important article of trade during these times? The Pandyas left many inscriptions in which their kings asserted their great concern for their subjects' welfare and their encouragements to all schools of thought and belief. Invasions of the Indo-Greeks. Having completed our brief journey into South India, it is time to return to the north, where a very different kind of development is about to occur. So far, we have only visited a few native dynasties. Yet, the same period also witnessed the arrival of invaders who entered through the northwest frontier and took control of the northwestern, northern, and central regions of the subcontinent. Let us first examine the legacy of Alexander's brief campaign in the Indus Plains. While retreating from the areas he had conquered, he left satraps behind. Over time, these regional rulers established their independent domains and came to be known as Indo-Greeks. Here is a picture given, figure 6.19, which is depicted the Heliodorus pillar near Vidisha. After the decline of the Mauryas, the areas in the northwestern regions, which is roughly present-day Pakistan and Afghanistan, were an easy target for the Indo-Greeks. However, while they arrived as conquerors, they were much influenced by the rich local culture. This culture interaction led to a blend of Greek and Indian element in governance, art, language, and daily life, shaping the cultural landscape of the region. The Heliodorus pillar near Vidisha, which is located in Madhya Pradesh, is a notable example of such connections. It is named after an Indo-Greek ambassador who in his inscription praises Vasudeva as the god of gods. Page number 135. The inscription also states three immortal precepts which is called footsteps when practiced lead to heaven, self-restraint, charity, unconsciousness. During excavations in North India, archaeologists have found many Indo-Greek coins which have provided most of the information we have about these rulers. Those coins were made of gold, silver, copper, and nickel, often portraying a king on one side and Greek deities on the other. However, some coins instead depicted Indian deities like Vasudeva, Krishna, and Lakshmi. The rule of the Indo-Greeks ended with the invasions of the Indo-Scythians or Shuks. Let's explore. What do you think might have been the meaning of having deities like Vasudeva, Krishna, or Lakshmi on some Indo-Greek coins? A picture is given in figure 6.20 for an Indo-Greek silver coin with Vasudeva, Krishna on one side. Don't miss out. The Shuks, sometimes called Indo-Scythians, also invaded the northwest of the subcontinent and ruled from the latter part of the 2nd century BCE to the 5th century CE. Their kingdoms rose to power after the Indo-Greeks, and they were in power until the arrival of the Kushans. It was during this period that the Shuks Samvat calendar was developed. It is 78 years behind the Gregorian calendar, except from January to March when it is behind by 79 years. It was adopted as the Indian national calendar in 1957. Here is the image, which is figure 6.21. Notice how dates are provided in both the Gregorian and Shak Samvat eras on this official publication of the Government of India. Page number 136. The emergence of the Kushanas. The Kushanas, originally from Central Asia, entered India probably in the 2nd century CE. At its peak, their empire extended from Central Asia to large parts of northern India. Their rule marked a period of extensive cultural intermixing and had a profound impact on the history of the Indian subcontinent. When he was not busy with his military campaigns, Kanishka encouraged art and culture, leading to the development of new artistic styles. Let's explore. Carefully observe this massive statue, which is 1.85 meter high. Figure 6.22, headless statue of King Kanishka. We can notice the clothing, weapon, and footwear. What does it tell us about this figure? This famous headless statue is of King Kanishka, probably most powerful ruler of the Kushana dynasty. The Brahmi inscription on the statue reads, Maharaja Rajadhiraja Devputra Kanishka. That is, the great king, king of kings, son of God Kanishka. Let's explore. Observe the coins carefully. Who besides the emperor appears on the coin? Figure 6.23, coins of Kanishka. There are coins of Kanishka. 4 pictures of coins are given. On the first coin, Kanishka is shown holding a spear titled King of Kings, while the other side features Buddha with the inscription Buddha in Greek script. We can observe the Greek script. Page 137. On the second coin, an emperor appears on one side and Shiva with the bull Nandi on the other. Let's reflect on the following. Why would a powerful ruler feature Buddha and Shiva on his coins? What does it say about his values and priorities? Can you find modern examples of such symbolic currency? The Kushanas held control over significant sections of the Silk Route, and during their reign, trade grew, connecting India with other parts of Asia and the West. Continuing the trend set under the Indo-Greek rulers, Kushana art and architecture, exemplified by the Gandhara and Mathura schools of art, are celebrated for their fusion of Indian and Greek styles. The sculptures feature a variety of deities, reflecting the peaceful coexistence of various schools of thought. This era saw the rise of representations of deities, like Surya or the sun god, which looked more similar to humans, and the increase in the development of religious art, laying the groundwork for later temple architecture in the subcontinent. The Gandhara style, which emerged in the western regions of Punjab, blended Greco-Roman elements with Indian features. Most sculptures and artifacts from this tradition were crafted in intricate detail from grey-black schist stone. In particular, intricate detail from grey-black schist stone. In particular, sculptures produced many fine Buddha images with realistic anatomy and flowing robes. Here is a figure given 6.24. There is a head of a Bodhisattva, or which is called future Buddha, from the Gandhar school of art. Note the fusion of Indian and Greek features. Think about it. Do you know where Gandhara is? Does it remind you of a character from the epic Mahabharata? Page 138. Here is a map given, figure 6.25. Some of the trade routes of ancient world are depicted in this map. The network marked in green shows the Silk Route connecting China with the Mediterranean world and passing through Central Asia, Persia, etc. Page 139. In this map, main route of Silk Road and other Karwa routes with important centers are depicted. Page 140. The Mathura style developed in the Mathura region of present-day Uttar Pradesh and is known for its distinct Indian style. Unlike the Gandhara style, it primarily used red sandstone for its sculptures and reflects less influence from Greco-Roman aesthetics. This art form is known for its depictions of Indian deities, including Kubera, Lakshmi, Shiva, Buddha, Yakshas, and Yakshinis, and generally produced fuller figures with smooth modeling. Here is the picture, figure 6.26. In this picture, Kuber, god of wealth from the Mathura school of art, is depicted. Did you miss the prominent mosaic? The mosaic is a distinguishing feature of some Indian sculptures. Let's explore. Now that you are familiar with the basic characteristics of the Mathura and Gandhar styles of art, study and pictures of artifacts given in figure 6.27 on the right page and try to identify which school of art each artifact belongs to. Write your observations with justifications and discuss your answers with your classmates. Despite the political conflicts, power struggles, the period saw remarkable cultural exchange and assimilation. This shared heritage is evident in art and architecture, where styles interacted, but with the dominance of Indian themes, especially Hindu and Buddhist ones. It was also the age when Sanskrit literature flourished, with, in particular, the composition of major Indian texts such as the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Refer to the chapter Unity in Diversity or Many in the One in your grade 6 textbook. Recognizing these connections encourages us to view this tapestry of the past not as confined to any one kingdom or ruler, but as a dynamic process that works through interaction and assimilation over time. Page 141. Here are 6 pictures. Picture 1, figure 6.27.1. There is a scene of the death of Buddha. Picture 2, figure 6.27.2. This is the picture of Bodhisattva Maitreya. Picture 3, figure 6.27.3. This is the picture of Shiva Linga being worshipped by Kushana devotees. Picture 4, figure 6.27.4. This is a picture of a Naga between two Nagis with an inscription referring to the 8th year of Kanishka's reign. Picture 5, figure 6.27.5. Picture of Kartikeya, the god of war, and Agni, the god of fire. Picture 6, figure 6.27.6. This is the picture of standing Buddha. Page number 142. In picture, we can see the timeline of Pushyamitra Shunga, Kharvela, Gautamiputra Satkarni, Kanishka, and Karikala. Here are some pictures given. Pictures of coins are there. Coins of Shunga's period, Kushana's period, Indo-Greek period, Shak's period, Satvahan's period, Chola, Chera, and Pandya's period are depicted. Before we move on, 1. The period after the disintegration of the Maurya Empire was characterized by the emergence of many big and small kingdoms across the subcontinent. 2. The internal conflicts were coupled with foreign invasions, which together led to a period of reorganization of political powers. Page 143. 3. This period witnessed a dialogue of various cultures that absorbed each other's influence to create new styles of art, architecture, coinage, etc., with ultimately a dominance of Indian themes and flourishing Sanskrit literature. 4. This time was also marked by remarkable developments in trade activities, both internal and external. Questions and activities. 1. Why was the post-Maurya era also known as the era of reorganization? 2. Write a note on the Sangam literature in 150 words. 3. Which rulers mentioned in this chapter included their mother's name in their title and why did they do so? 4. Write a note of 250 words about one kingdom from this chapter that you find interesting. Explain why you chose it. After presenting your note in class, find out what kingdoms have been the most selected by your classmates. 5. Imagine you have the chance to create your own kingdom. What royal emblem would you choose and why? What title would you take as the ruler? Write a note about your kingdom, including its values, rules, and regulations, and some unique features. 6. You have read about the architectural developments of the post-Maurya era. Take an outline of the Indian subcontinent and mark the approximate locations of some of the ancient structures mentioned in this chapter. Page 144. Empty space is given for noodles. Noodles is our abbreviation for notes and doodles. Chapter ends here.
Exploring Society, India and Beyond. You were just listening to this audiobook. Textbook of Social Science for Grade 7. Narration Nisha Jain. Sound recordist Prasoon. Production assistant Surendra Kumar. Directed and produced by Vimalesh Chaudhary. This audiobook was brought to you by CIET NCERT, New Delhi, India.